And just for the record, please state your name for day 2.
Detective Jay Carpenter, Jaycarpenter.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, you may continue.
Sir, yesterday when we ended for the day, we were at the point where we were talking about you interviewing the defendant, Darrell Brooks, on November 21st, 2021 at approximately 11 o'clock p.m. Do you recall that?
Objection. I don't think it's being called that name, for the record.
Objection is overruled.
Yes, I do
Grounds
recall
for the
that.
overrule.
Not relevant.
Yeah, it is relevant.
Your Honor, at this point, or I think last night, we asked for State's Exhibit 81 to be admitted into evidence, which is the defendant's statement provided to Detective Carpenter and Detective Stern on November 21st of last year.
And Exhibit 81 is received permission to publish is granted.
Objection.
My notes reflect that it's 25 minutes.
That is correct. Let me get the exact time of it.
Objection. I didn't provide any statement on the 21st.
Jury will disregard the statement by Mr. Brooks. He is not testifying, therefore his statements are not evidence.
And my objection should be noted for the record.
Your Honor, the entire video is 25 minutes and 27 seconds. The State will be playing from 4 minutes and 25 seconds to 14 minutes and 25 seconds.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So before it begins, I just wanted to clarify, we had talked about it last night a little bit. What we are hearing today is the audio interview only, correct?
Objection leading.
Overruled is foundational. She may ask it that way. Go ahead, you may answer, sir.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
See right here, Darrell. I'll go grab you your water. I'll tell you. Tight.
Darrell?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Darrell. I'm Jeremy Polachowski. I'm the FBI.
FBI.
Yeah.
FBI?
I'm Mary. Yep.
They're just kind of helping out because we're so short-staffed tonight. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
that's all it is.
How's your shoulder, right? Is that where
Yeah, well, he said in 4 to 6 weeks I might have to get it because it's still something's wrong. I know.
You bang it up before or something?
Nah, it was just the way they slammed me.
Okay.
Hit the ground, kind of like went up. Boom, boom. That's where the knee came
Your
from.
knee
But,
as well. Okay.
yeah, but the shoulder, I know something's wrong.
Yeah.
He said 4 to 6 weeks, the MRI won't be able to tell if anything's torn or anything like that. So
Okay.
FBI though.
We help out our local partners all the time. This is just something that we're here to help out
Because
with.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, believe it or not, we work at MPD a lot. We come down here, so we're kind of all over the place. But yeah, like Detective
Never,
Carpenter
like,
said, we're
y'all for real, the FBI for real.
That's
Yeah.
what this says at least, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not trying to be funny, but this is the first time I've ever even seen an FBI agent in real life.
We get that reaction from most of us.
No, because it's like,
Yeah,
am I in
a
a
lot.
movie right now? Y'all sure y'all not punking
don't-
or pranking me or something?
Yeah, you don't need to let that
Yeah.
freak you out or anything.
Right.
And again, we
Yeah.
do work, so we work on a task force with MPD quite a bit, so
I'm
we are out
gonna
with.
put my arm like this just to stretch it out. Just to,
Yep.
I don't want you to think I'm doing nothing crazy.
You good?
Just
You good?
it leaves some pressure. Something
good.
right up in.
No, you're good. Yeah, like she was saying, don't let the, don't let them don't let them make you nervous. Okay. You'll be talking to me mostly and my partner a bit. No, they'll ask you a little too, but just trying to get to the bottom of everything. Look, you were found basically running around in the yard. You said you grabbed dude's phone. That's
No, I didn't grab it. I asked
I
him.
don't mean you stole it. You
Oh,
asked
yeah,
for it and you made a call. And that's just kind of what I'm up here to start with and get the background about it. If you're willing to tell me just what you were doing in the yard, because obviously we have the perception we got, like I told you. They said, okay, they had us write this warrant, get some of your blood. But I have one side. So what am I missing? I'm missing Darrell's side, right? I don't know what created all this, why these people are calling us. And I can't really clear that up, or I'd like to clear that up, but the best way to clear it up is if, you're willing to talk to me about it, okay? And that's just kind of what I'm here to sit down and chill with you about. We've been talking to you, about 4 hours now? And we've
Probably
been pretty,
longer.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. It's been
Probably
pretty laid
longer.
back, so I'm looking to keep it that way. I'm not looking to pull any fast ones on you. That's why I've been straight with you to that point. I'm going to keep doing that now, right? Darrell, is it Darrell? Do I have the spelling right?
Yes, sir.
And it's D. Edward, like full middle is Edward, right?
Yes, sir.
Brooks, Brooks.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And just verify your date of birth for me.
22182.
82. So you're 39?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Married at all?
No.
No?
As little as I am, I'm like, you have to slam me.
Yeah. How many kids you got?
3.
3? How old are they?
18, 14, and 7.
18, 14, and 7. Yeah, what do
Yes.
they like to do?
My baby girls, they into everything that's going on right now. The TikTok, the,
Yeah.
the
Always on the phone,
Instagram.
right?
They always dance and making video. My oldest daughter just started high school,
Yeah.
and my baby girl she just started the first grade. So
So they could
my
all
son is the oldest. My girls are the youngest.
they could build a computer, but can't normally talk like we know how to, right? So you're born in Milwaukee?
Actually, Detroit.
Detroit.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Living in Milwaukee now?
Yes, sir. Grew up here. We left Detroit when I don't even think I was walking and talking yet. So,
Okay.
Milwaukee's home, Wisconsin's home, born and raised.
Okay. Not working right now, right?
No, not at the moment.
What do you do when you're working? What do you consider your job?
The last job I just had, I was working at a sheet metal place.
Okay.
Basically just they would have these hook things, you just basically, it's strenuous because you got to do a lot of lifting, and it's a lot of heavy lifting, but you basically just hanging these pieces on these hooks, and they're going through the thing, they're steaming them, painting them, then they
Okay.
come back around and then you just box them up and load them.
So you're not married?
No.
You have a girlfriend?
Yeah.
You live with her?
No.
What's her name, your girlfriend's name?
Her name is Erica Patterson.
How does she spell it?
Erika.
P-A...
Yeah, Patterson.
Okay, and it's 4014 North 19th Street in Milwaukee. Do I have the right address?
Yes, sir.
Is that an apartment or a house?
It's a house.
Okay. What's the zip code there?
53209.
Okay. And last grade you completed in school?
12th.
Grade? Okay. Graduated high school?
Yes, sir.
What school did you go to in Milwaukee?
Riverside.
Riverside?
Yes, sir. Milwaukee Riverside Tigers. I see you smile. You know about Riverside, man?
I heard things.
We kicked y'all butt in football.
It was West Dallas.
Oh, no.
I don't think we play Riverside.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, I appreciate all the cooperation and all the good dialogue we've had, to this point, Darrell. Being that you're sitting here and I had some handcuffs on you before and all that jazz,
Absolutely.
you familiar with your legal rights?
Yes,
Have
I
you ever
have.
had those read to you before?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So as you can see, they're written on this paper. So because, if I was sitting here and talking to you on your couch, we wouldn't have to worry about this. But because you're here not in your home. It's kind of a thing I got to read to you, okay? And again, it's just something I got to read to you before I kind of get your side, or hopefully get your side here, and love to hear your side. I'd like to know what Darrell has to say about, okay, you know, we got some people calling us saying this, you know, he said, you made hundreds before. No, I wasn't driving. Someone thought you might have been. He had to get that warrant. He ended up calling a guy just to use his phone, kind of loitering around, and just, you know, how you ended up kind of being there. That's what they say.
No. I was gonna say I knocked on his door to use his phone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, but it probably wasn't him that called because he got his phone, but someone was concerned about something. So just trying to figure out what's going on down in that neighborhood. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Darrell.
He kind of, you know, like I said, that wasn't probably the best, but I was just like, I need to get an Uber.
Yep.
I have money on my Cash App card.
Yep.
So I'm not trying to rob anybody.
Sure.
I'm not trying to break it and obviously you can tell I'm not drunk. I'm not, you know, under the influence of anything. So
Okay. All right.
so basically what it was.
Okay. All right. In regards to these, Darrell, then, do you understand that you have the right to remain silent? Just answer everything with a yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then I just write down your reply. Do you understand if you give up that right, anything you say may be used against you in court?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand you have the right to consult with an attorney and have an attorney present during any questioning?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand if you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided to you by the court?
Yes, sir.
Understanding the above rights, Darrell, are you willing to speak with me, us, primarily me? I'm the one that's going to be doing most of the talking probably.
I just want to know a little bit more about what's going on. Just a little bit, because
Like I told
just
you, I know very
confused.
little. I just know that, you know, you were down in this neighborhood, someone called, you know, they didn't know what you were doing down there and things like that. So I got limited from their side, but I'm looking to see, you know, what you have to say about it. I'm looking to see, you know, maybe the caller was just on some BS down there. You know, I don't know. You know, I don't know. But I can't really show the court that if I don't have, you know, if I haven't talked to you. So that's why I'm here, just to kind of see what you got to say about it. Get your side of it. You know, running around a neighborhood's not the end of the world. It's not a huge deal.
Right.
You know?
Right. Unfortunately, I wouldn't have had to do that if I made better decisions with women.
Yeah.
But not gonna point the finger.
Sure.
I'm a grown man. I make my own decisions, so I'm not gonna point the finger at nobody. I just didn't think.
Didn't think, yeah.
What the hell?
You willing to speak with me, Darrell?
Not right now.
So, was a decision made to speak with Mr. Brooks the following day?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name, leading the witness.
The objections are overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Now, when you spoke with the defendant on the 21st, what did you have some general information as to casualties from
Yes.
the parade?
Yes, I did.
What information did you have at that point?
At that point, not all the information was in yet, but I knew, as I stated in previous testimony, our emergency department was very full. I knew there were significant injuries to many people. I knew some were deceased. I did not know the exact number at that time.
You had approximately another couple minutes of conversations with Mr. Brooks before you called it a night. What was the vibe that you got from him during those couple minutes?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name, as leading the witness.
The objections overruled. You may answer.
I would say friendly. I think when you heard the clip there, Mr. Brooks jokes about Riverside and football. The individual he was talking to at that time was Detective Stern, as you can't obviously see him in the video. I could sense, and I believe you can hear it in Mr. Brooks's voice in that clip, the FBI put him on edge. It was unusual to see them. I could sense the nervousness. He did transition as I talked to him more throughout that clip into a more normal conversational tone again. But when I was speaking with Mr. Brooks casually throughout the night, that was the type of tone he had with us. It was very friendly, and he seemed, when it came to myself and Detective Stern, very comfortable speaking with us.
Now, you had stated your initial intent was to talk to him about loitering in the area that he was arrested. Do you recall that?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, I do.
Did Mr. Brooks at all talk to you about the loitering in terms of what the focus of your investigation was that night?
Objection, I don't consent to being called that name, leading the witness.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, the statements he made in there, about, being in the area because he needed an Uber. He says more, to us about not knowing the area of Waukesha. He doesn't know the streets, things of that nature, and he just needed an Uber to get home. That was his reasoning for being down there, and he stuck to that reasoning the entire time.
Direct your attention then to the next day. So, strike that. That night, was he transported to a Muskego Police Department?
Yes, he was.
And did you go to Muskego Police Department?
Yes, I did.
Did you transport him?
So it was a dual transport. Officer Leha from the Waukesha Police Department responded to Waukesha Memorial Hospital in a marked squad car that has an appropriate rear backseat transport compartment. Mr. Brooks was placed in that car, and myself and Detective Stern followed in a separate car.
So once you get to City of Muskego Police Department, do you do anything there?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Not the first night. Myself and Detective Stern stood by while some basic medical questions that were part of Muskego Police Department's policy as far as holding a prisoner were asked of him. I was there until Mr. Brooks was placed into his cell. Once Mr. Brooks was in his cell, I explained to him that me personally, would be returning the next day to speak with him more and give him more information about the investigation.
Did Officer Leha end up staying at the Muskego Police Department with the defendant?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled.
Yes, he did.
Why was that?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
That was Muskego's request, being Mr. Brooks was, because of the transition and we did not have our own municipal lockup facility, we requested to use Muskego Police Departments and they allowed it. But being Mr. Brooks was technically in our custody, they requested that one of our officers stay there to do the monitoring and the jail checks.
So do you return to the City of Muskego Police Department the next day, November 22nd, to speak with Mr. Brooks again?
Objection,
Yes, I did.
I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, I did.
Did you return with anyone?
I returned with Detective Ben Stern.
Now, what was the plan for this interview? You had said the previous day the intent was to kind of start very low, just looking at loitering. Did you have a plan going into the interview on the 22nd?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
I did.
What was that plan?
So the plan was different from the prior day. So the interview with Mr. Brooks on the 22nd didn't start till about a little after noon that afternoon, 12:11 p.m. to be exact. Around 8 a.m. that morning, there was a briefing with all officers that were involved where I learned some additional information. One of the things I learned that morning was that there was a domestic abuse incident that had occurred between Darrell Brooks and Erica Patterson, something I was not aware of when I was with Mr. Brooks during the evening hours of November 21st. There was also much more information at this point in regards to the parade incident. as I had stated in my earlier testimony, it was very, very chaotic that first night. Between radio traffic and what I could hear going on down in the downtown, as I had stated, it was really unlike anything I've ever been involved in. But by Tuesday morning, the 22nd, we had narrowed it down to basically just Mr. Brooks, that there were not 4 people in this car. We were looking at 1 man. So he was now a suspect in the domestic abuse and driving in the parade. So I chose to begin the interview on the less serious matter, that being the battery charge that he was looking at with Erica Patterson.
Now, you said Tuesday the 22nd.
Monday, excuse me.
Okay, thank you. And what do you try to do when you're meeting with someone? Do you try to establish any type of rapport with that person? Is that helpful? How did you approach this interview on the 22nd?
Objection, leading.
I'll sustain as to the form of the question. It was actually compound, if you could rephrase.
How did you approach the questioning of Mr. Brooks on the 22nd?
Objection, I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
So when I began to speak with Darrell Brooks on the 22nd, I began with some very light conversation. I explained to Mr. Brooks that I had more information from the previous day. I explained to Mr. Brooks that his girlfriend at that time, Erica Patterson, had made some domestic abuse allegations against him that were physical in nature. I didn't indicate to him exactly what she said he did, but that there were physical allegations. I explained to Mr. Brooks that there's always 2 sides to a story, and that, you know, a lot of times in my experience as an officer, it can be about perspective. There's side A, there's side C, so to speak, and maybe B, somewhere in the middle, can be your truth. And I basically just implored him to be honest. I touched on the fact we had talked extensively the night before about things such as him enjoying baseball, him having watched the Packer game, him having been disappointed by the result of the Packer game. And in situations such as interrogations, I think it's always important to let a person know that obviously I'm an officer, but I'm a human being, as are they. And you want to try to not let them see that barrier and feel comfortable talking to you. I think in any interpersonal relationship in society, there needs to be rapport. And I try to establish that before getting into the specific details of the crime at hand.
Now, you said that you had a briefing prior to going back to the City of Muskego Police Department.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have, you said you had more information about the parade incident and also the domestic incident, correct?
Correct.
Objection, leading.
Overruled, his answer may stand. Next question.
Did you know at that time, prior to speaking with Mr. Brooks, how many people had died during the parade incident?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Yes, I did.
And how many people was that at that time?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
At that point, it was 5.
So did you confirm, again, personal information for the defendant before starting the interview?
Yes, I did.
Did you read the Miranda form like you did the night before?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 174. Now, is that the Miranda statement form that you completed on November 22nd with Mr. Brooks?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, it is.
And what time was that completed?
12:11 p.m.
What exhibit is that?
174.
174?
174. And did you read that form to Mr. Brooks?
Objection. What is that?
Overruled.
Yes, I did.
And did you read that form to him in its entirety?
Yes, I did.
I'd ask that Exhibit 174 be moved into evidence.
Objection. Relevancy.
Exhibit 174 is received.
Now, when we look at Exhibit 174, it says spouse's name, it says Erica Patterson. Do you see that?
Objection, leading.
Sustained it to the form of the question. You did not ask the published. I did not. I just want to make sure that's what you were not looking to do.
Correct. No.
Okay, thank you.
There's a spot on this form that says spouse's name. Is that filled in?
Yes.
And what does it say?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
It says Erica Patterson.
Did he say that they were married?
He did not. He said that was his girlfriend, however.
And he indicated he had children?
Objection leading.
It's background foundational. It's, the witness may answer. The objection's overruled.
Yes, he did.
How many children did he have?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
3.
And you read each of the 5 rights that are listed on this form?
Yes, I did.
And did he agree to speak with you?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
Okay. I would ask that Exhibit 174 be published to the jury.
Objection. Relevancy.
The exhibit's already been received. Noting your objection, it's overruled. Permission to publish is granted.
Now, as that form is coming up in the jury box, just for the jurors to see, when you initially had contact with the defendant that morning, did you verify if he had been fed?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes, I did.
And had he been fed dinner the night before, breakfast that morning, lunch that afternoon?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, he had.
And was he complaining about any physical injuries?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, he was continuing to complain about, excuse me, he was continuing to complain about the injury to his right shoulder, which he still at that time was asserting occurred when officers at the time of his arrest body slammed him.
Now, with regard to the second interview, the one that took place on November 22nd, was that recorded?
Yes, it was.
And would it be fair to say that recorded interview was 4 hours, 55 minutes, and 30 seconds?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay. And you've had the opportunity to listen to that interview?
Yes, I have.
I'm going to go through that interview with you. I'm not going to play the whole 5 hours, but just portions of that. I'll stop it during specific clips that I'm providing to Ms. Gussie, and we'll talk about it. Is that all right?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Before you do that, I'm told our interpreter will be here momentarily, and rather than you start, I think it would be best if we just take a short break till the interpreter's here. Is the witness here?
I believe he was coming at 10.
Oh,
We thought
okay,
we'd take
that's
a
fine
break.
then. I appreciate that additional information, then we'll keep going. Sorry for the interruption.
Let me see if maybe he's here early.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, he's not here yet.
Okay, then we will keep going, and just let me know when the witness gets here.
Okay, we can take this exhibit off the screen. If we can go to 7 minutes and 30 seconds to 8 minutes and 20 seconds. To 8. Now, before she starts it, is this the interview room that was at the San Diego Police Department?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And it's paused right now, but who's in that room?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
The person in that room in the red t-shirt with the mask partially covering their face, longer braided appearing hair, is Darrell Edward Brooks. The same individual sitting to my left in this suit, jacket, shorter hair, and surgical mask.
Okay. And the other two people depicted here?
The person, as you would look to the screen to the left, is myself, and on the right is Detective Ben Stern.
Okay. So again, going to 7 minutes and 30 seconds. We're going to play it, but not with sound, until 7 minutes and 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
Okay. So it now is at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. If we can play until 8 minutes and 20 seconds.
Hang the metal pieces on the little machine thing that comes around. They take them. The pieces go through like this little steamer type machine thing, and then they paint it, and then they come back around, and we just take them off the hook and just put them in the box, load them up, put them back on the truck. It was 4 on, 3 off, so that was more ideal because
That's a great schedule.
I mostly have my children the back half of the week.
Sure.
But since all this, I've been having them every day. So it's like,
How old are your kids?
my son is grown. My oldest daughter is 14, and my youngest daughter is 7.
You said your oldest son's grown. How old is he?
He's 18.
They all live with you then in Milwaukee?
Well, my son doesn't.
Your son doesn't?
My son doesn't. But
Okay. All right.
So initially, what were you speaking with Mr. Brooks about when he was describing doing something with metal?
Objection leading, and I do not consent to being called that name.
Overruled as to both objections. The witness may answer.
Just about work, he was Mr. Brooks was explaining a job he had prior. He indicated he was laid off due to the pandemic. So it was just general conversation about his work history.
And he talked about his kids. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And his 2 youngest kids, who did he say they lived with?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness
Objection
may answer.
relevancy.
Mr. Brooks was indicating they were living with him. However, the investigation showed that not to be the case. Of the 2 daughters, one lives down in Georgia in the Atlanta area, and the other lives in Iowa.
Thank you. Now directing your attention to 14 minutes and 15 seconds into the interview, and I'd be playing that until 15 minutes and 48 seconds into the interview. It is currently at 14 minutes and 15 seconds.
Can I have those timestamps again, please?
Sure. 14 minutes and 15 seconds beginning to 15 minutes and 48 seconds.
Thank you.
I'd ask that be played at this time.
Go ahead.
We're not on your college set. I gotta read it, okay? And I know you've heard it before, so you kind of understand that.
yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any questions before I start for me?
Only thing I want to know is, what in the heck am I being charged with anything?
Well, she's making some, like I said, alleged allegations against you, kind of, for being physical. So that's what, if that's BS, that's what I'm looking to hear from you. Okay?
Total BS.
You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of, we couldn't track her down, so that's kind of where we're at. It's this typical back and forth stuff that guys like you go through with their baby mama all the time. And they're all, there's a lot of guys out there in your spot, and a lot of times, maybe it's not always fair to them, but that's kind of what
I
I'm
wish they
trying to
had a
figure out.
law to where people can, if you do that shit, you should get in trouble.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, why? You shouldn't be able to just be like, oh, I'm pissed off, so I'm going to
Yeah.
call and do this.
Yep. I agree.
Like, why would you put me in that situation and then we're going to end up being together anyway?
And that's
Why
what
would you
we're
do that?
Trying to
And
judge
that's-
that credibility.
Yeah, and that's total BS. So that's what that's why we're sitting in here with you, to try to sift through the BS, if that's what we got, and go from there.
Crazy, man.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
This fucking girl, man. I said this last night too, didn't I?
Yep.
She get drunk and remember I kept saying
I
that
remember
she
you telling me.
fucking acts a fool and I'm the one that pays for it.
Yep.
Can you tell the jury a little bit about this clip?
Overruled.
So in this clip here, I'm just explaining to Mr. Brooks the background of the domestic abuse allegations that officers had received from Erica Patterson, and that I was looking to get basically clarity on that, his side of the story on that, have him help me understand what aspects of it may or may not be true, and just walk me through what had occurred between the 2 of them.
And again, although we're approximately 15 minutes into the interview, have you mentioned anything about the parade incident or any victims?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
I had not said anything about that at this point.
And why was that?
So what I wanted to do with this interview, as I stated in my earlier testimony, I wanted to start with the smaller things and get to the bigger things. The parade incident with the injuries of the individuals and the loss of life was obviously very serious. Part of what I believe as an investigator is very important is gauging credibility into the interview. And one of the ways you do that is you need to be careful. Obviously, at some point, if I'm going to take Mr. Brooks to jail, I have to tell him what he's being charged with. But I want to be very careful in giving too much information early on so that I'm not leading him, so that I'm not giving him the opportunity based on information to create lies. I want to see how he reacts to things to help me gauge whether he's being truthful. And I found starting with the smaller aspect and seeing how truthful he was with that could help lead me into the more serious allegations and see if he was going to be truthful about those things as well.
Now, as I watched the snippet of the video that we showed, at one point you had indicated, guys like you get into these kind of situations with girls like that, or something to that effect. Do you recall that interaction in this video?
Yes, I do.
What do you mean by that? Or what were you trying to establish by making that statement?
Again, as I had stated in my earlier testimony, part of what I believe is important is simply building a rapport with an individual. Again, you always have with any individual in any interrogation, there's the natural barrier that can occur with them seeing you as a law enforcement officer. I've been doing this job for 18 years. That was not intended on any way on my part to suggest to Mr. Brooks that everything his girlfriend was saying was a lie. I just wanted him to feel comfortable telling me the truth, whatever that truth was, man to man or person to person, human being to human being.
Lying.
Directing your attention to 30 minutes and 26 seconds and playing this clip until 40 minutes and 30 seconds. Let's do that now.
Objection. Wasn't it just said we was 15 minutes in the interview? Why is it playing from 30 minutes?
Your objection is noted. It's overruled. Again, that's 30-26, you said?
30-26 to 40-30.
To 40-30. Go ahead.
No,
What brought you to Waukesha yesterday? How did you get out here?
I was meeting up with a friend to watch the Packer game.
Okay.
That's the only reason why I was out here.
Where did you go to watch the game?
To a friend named Stephanie,
Her house, a bar, or?
a house.
Yeah, I don't mean to make you uncomfortable or anything, but what's the address there? What street
I
is it
have
on?
no idea about Waukesha. I don't know the street.
What was it near? I know you had to see something near it. So what was it near?
Like a gas station?
Have you been to the house before?
No,
Never before?
no.
What's Stephanie's last name?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
When did you guys set this up?
Maybe a couple of days ago.
Okay.
Like I said, I have a few friends. I have a few friends in Milwaukee that have people out here, so
Okay.
it's not, I don't, like I said last night, I don't know the streets in Waukesha. It's not where I usually hang out at, so I couldn't say, well, this street, and this, I couldn't.
All right.
Stephanie, like a friend of yours or like a friend of a friend?
A friend of a friend, mutual friend.
And what did you say
It's
her
just
last
like,
name was?
I have no idea.
How long have you known her?
That was my first time meeting her. So,
How did you get the number to know the house to go to?
a friend.
So how did you get to her house?
My friend. I went with my friend.
Okay, who's that?
My friend, I don't really want to say his name. I don't know if that's going to incriminate him in anything. So,
So let's go with this. How did you come? I know you saw Erica yesterday in Waukesha because we talked to her. Now I don't know everything that went on, and I'm not saying I believe everything she told the other officers. How did you come to meet with her in Waukesha? One, and two. You say you don't know Waukesha, but where did you meet her? A gas station, a park? I know you met her. Where did you meet her? What happened yesterday?
Yeah,
because if this is BS, like you say, and I know you met her, what happened?
I met
What
her
happened when you met her? Where did you meet her? Let's start with that.
by a gas station.
Okay.
I don't know what I was supposed to be getting some money from her.
Okay. For what?
It was the rest of my money that she had of mine that she was holding for me.
Okay, how much?
It was supposed to be $350.
Okay. And why did she have it? Why was she holding
Well,
it?
she had been holding it for me for a few weeks now, but like I said, I hadn't seen her. She had seen
Right,
my
but
mom.
why did she have it? Why was she holding it for you?
She was just holding it for me because I told her to hold it for me. But it didn't have anything to do with, this was weeks ago. She had been holding the money. And because I had no contact with her, I couldn't tell her, and my mom wasn't going to let her come to the house to bring it.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, look, man, if I'm going to be out there, I'll meet up with you and get the money, but I'm not hanging out with you. I'm not having sex with you. And she was just like, oh, you want to kill? I'm like, I'm not finna do none of that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not supposed to be around you. I get that. I understand that. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I'm not supposed to be around you. I love you to death, man. You're my baby mama. I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't supposed to be like a hangout thing. I told her, I'm like, I'm out here. And she's like, oh, where you at? Where you at? Where you at? And I'm like, look, I'll meet up with you to get the money and, you know, give you a hug or whatever. But she was like, well, I need something. I'm like, no, we can't do it all that. I'm not going to have sex with you. I'm not going to hang out with you or none of that.
All right. So you told her you weren't going to do any of that stuff.
No.
How did you set the meeting up? Did you talk to her on the phone, Facebook Messenger, text message?
I talked to her.
I don't think she said anything about that. So just, I mean, if she's BS, how did you
Yeah, because
meeting with her?
This is what she does.
Hold on one second. Hold on, one thing at a time. How did you set the meeting with her? How do I verify?
That's what I'm saying. If she can't get in touch with me, that's what she'll do. She'll go to social medias and do all this and try to talk to people and all this and that. I got in contact with her through a mutual friend that we both know. And I was like, okay, tell her I'm out in Waukesha or whatever, and I'll meet up with her to get the money. And then she put us on the call. And she was just like, where you at?
Call?
Yeah. And she was just like, where you at? I'm like, look, I don't know where I'm at. Do you still got that money? She's like, yeah, I want to give you the money, and I want to do this and do that. I'm like, no, I'm not finna hang out with you. I'm gonna meet up with you, get the money, give you a hug and kiss. We'll talk later.
Was it still daylight?
It was still daylight. It was still daylight.
So
after the fact.
This was, I think the game was still on.
Game was on. So
The game was still on.
left Stephanie's to go.
Yep. The game was still on. So I was like, fuck it. You know what I mean? I want to see you. I ain't seen you in like a month. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to lie and say, man, that's my baby mama. I love this woman. But I can't hang out with you. I can't do anything with you, you know, that type of thing, deal, and whatever the case may be. But, yeah, that.
And this is on your cell phone? The three-way call, obviously, is your cell phone because you're not on the phone, right?
My friend's phone.
Friend's phone.
Yeah.
But yesterday, so do you have your phone?
No. That's what I'm saying. No.
So who is the friend whose phone you were using to talk to her on a three-way call?
I don't want to say his name because I don't want to.
Okay, I guess, so you saw her, though, right? You met up with her? Okay. So, how did the conversation with her end?
With me walking off and her being pissed off that I didn't want to hang out with her. I said, look, I'm not supposed to be around you. I'm gone.
Okay.
When she
Whose
said,
car
"Oh,"
did you use to get out
she
here?
said, "I didn't have a car."
No, whose car did you use to get to Waukesha?
My friend is the one that said he was gonna go hang out and watch the Packer game. I said I'm gonna go with.
Okay. Whose car did you use to get out to Waukesha?
I didn't use anybody's car.
Where does your friend live?
My friend lives in Milwaukee.
So you didn't walk to Waukesha. Whose car
No.
did you guys use to
My
get
friend.
out
I
to
just said my
Waukesha? What
friend.
type of car is he?
I'm
just trying to figure out how you got here.
Yeah, I know, but it seemed like you trying to like spin me up or something. Like
I'm just asking how you got here. Whose car did you drive out here?
I didn't drive at all.
Whose car did you come out here in?
My friend.
Okay, right. What kind of car is it? So here's the thing, Darrell.
Okay.
Obviously, you know, she's coming at us. I told her she's talking about some domestic related issues, okay? You know, I don't know if she's on BS. I don't know if she's not.
I'm telling
Hold
you.
on, let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish. Let me finish. I don't want you to get
Yeah, because
frozen. Hold on, let me finish. You know, I don't entirely know all that, okay? I'm just right now trying to figure out how you got out here. So I got to step out with my partner for a minute. Just relax. I don't want you to get you all nervous, okay? But, you know, I'm not trying to be confrontational, but I don't think when you meet her out in Waukesha and you're not from Waukesha, I think a reasonable question is to ask, how did you get out here?
Yeah.
Whether you drove, someone else drove, and if so, when you got out here, what type of car you were in. So just every hour or so, my boss, he knows we're out here. I just got to call him and say, yeah, we're talking. I'll call you back later. Just got to step out, throw in a line with him, and we'll come back. Just chill out here, enjoy your soda. We'll be right back. All right? Sound good? Okay.
So we done talking or?
No,
No,
we'll
no,
be back in a
we'll come back
minute.
and
Just
talk.
chill out, and we'll be back. I
You
don't
just
want to
gotta make
put you
that
back in that, so I just got to make that call.
That check-in call.
All right?
In the middle of the conversation?
Well, do you want to tell me about the car?
Just go another couple minutes.
Yeah, but I'm
I mean, I got to call him. I can come back, but I just...
listen, I'm willing to listen, Carpenter. You've been straight up with me. You've been straight up with me, right? All I'm saying is I just want to know what I'm looking at and if I can just notify my girls. That's it. I don't have a problem with talking to you guys at all. I just want to know what am I looking at. That's
I told you
it.
at the start, she called about some domestic abuse related stuff. Now, I didn't talk to her myself. I told you that at the start. You said she was crazy. We talked
Y'all
about
know
that.
that. Y'all talked to the woman.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Oh,
Other
I
officers-
apologize. You talk.
Slow,
Our
Darrell,
officers that we listened to the interview.
slow down, Darrell.
Did she look beat up? Did she look like, dude?
Darrell,
Like,
listen
come
to me.
on now, man.
Slow down, dude. All right? We can't explain it to you if you keep talking over us. You know what I'm saying? All right? I didn't talk to her. I didn't see her. Okay? Now,
Okay, with regard to that clip, sir, we have a lot of talk about her, meeting her. Who is her?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
The her in this case is Erica Patterson.
So did you have some conversations with Mr. Brooks before this clip about his relationship with Ms. Patterson?
Objection leading. I do consent to being called that name.
The objections are overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, I did.
Now, at the end of this video, not the end of the video, but the end of this clip, again, he is saying, what am I looking at? Do you recall him saying that in this video?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
Yes, I do.
Was this a theme throughout this 5-hour video?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, it was.
Did he... You had stated initially when he came into the room, he had complained about some shoulder pain.
Yes, he did.
Did that continue throughout the interview?
Objection relevancy.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
So, I would say what happened is it went on and off. So at this point here, the interview at this point in time was what I would describe as laid back. A lot of it was simply getting background about the overall relationship between Mr. Brooks and Miss Patterson. During that time, he was fine. He was moving his arms, as you could see in this clip. He wasn't complaining about pain. What I noticed and made me question the legitimacy of the injury before ever actually even seeing the body cam is I noted at times of stress later in this interview as I continue to push on a vehicle. I can see, as you could see here, I believe it can be seen here in this interview, talking about the car made him uncomfortable. Complaints about the pain would suddenly come back.
How about the request to be told what he's looking at? Did you see any correlation between that and what was occurring during the interview?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes, that, as I say, that continued throughout the entirety of the interview, and really at this point was a little unusual because right now he had been told he was looking at the domestic. The parade hadn't come up, so a reasonable person, I believe, at this point of the interview knew what they were looking at. They were looking at a domestic abuse incident. Why simply asking him how he got out here as far as transportation made him nervous was alarming.
An example of him, you said that you had seen him using his arms a little bit in this clip, is that correct?
Objection, leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
You had stated that, what observations did you make during this clip about the use of his right arm?
He would move it from side to side, so, I mean, both his arms would come out like this and move. He would make mannerisms when he was speaking with both arms that were, to me, what a person would do when they're normally conversing. And it would seem unusual to make those movements if he was, in fact, in as much pain as he was claiming to us he was in.
Now I'm going to just let the record reflect that when you had indicated he'd move his arms this way, you moved both your right and left arm out parallel to the ground at about shoulder level. Would that be accurate?
Yes, it would.
Okay. I'm going to show you a clip beginning at 52 minutes and 15 seconds to 52 minutes and 42 seconds, so a very short clip.
Go ahead.
That, and then she makes this complaint when she gets you back.
Yeah, and it's
in
like,
the
why do
legal
you
system.
do this to
And
me? And I promise you, my right hand to God Almighty on the throne with Jesus next to his side, the woman is going to sit up there and say, I was drunk, I was mad, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, now I got to go through everything just for you to do that. Why did you do this to me?
So you think she's gonna come back to us?
So we saw some motions with his arms during this clip. Would that be an accurate statement?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Can you explain to the jury what you observed?
So I observed Mr. Brooks move his arms to his side, above his head, his right arm almost fully above his head at points. Quite frankly, showing that arm seemed to have full range of motion.
Now, you had testified yesterday, you had seen a video or a still shot from a video, and you identified the defendant driving a red SUV. Do you recall that testimony?
Objection, leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes, I do.
And when the defendant was telling you about his friend bringing him out in a tan Kia, I think he said, did you believe that to be true?
Objection.
Sustained. It's for the jury to determine credibility.
Did
The witness
you-
will not answer that.
Did you ever see any video of the defendant driving in a tan Kia during the time of the parade?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled, the witness may answer that.
No, I did not.
Directing the video to 1 hour, 4 minutes, 30 seconds.